Peace. Welcome. It's time for the YouTube live book reading of The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by the great Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop. Divine Rising. Peace and highest heart love. Beautiful, beautiful rest. Happy solar return to the great Janet Jackson. Divine days and nights. Here we go. We are picking up in the third chapter, page 58 down at the bottom. Welcome, YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. This peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. I'm Master Fitness Trainer Uriel Riley. Thank you for reading along with us. I will put in the description a vocabulary brief of the reading. And when it's finished uploading, I will put it right into the playlist. So thank you for being here live, and to all those coming forth and reading. Here we go. Down at the bottom, page 58, Modern Falsification of History, Chapter 3 of The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. We see King Sestros returning from an expedition against these Southerners. Several captives precede his chariot. Farther on, the monarch offers the local gods two groups of prisoners, evidently belonging to these savage tribes, an offering consecrated to the powerful protectors of civilization, who have smiled on the punishment of its enemies. These men, roped together, almost stark naked except for a panther skin about their loins, are distinguished by their color, some entirely black, others dark brown. The long facial angle, the top of the head quite flat, the combination of coarse features and a generally frail body characterize a special type, a race on the lowest rung of the human ladder. Figure 29. The hideous grimaces and contortions that contract the faces and limbs of these men reveal savage habits, the strangeness of that race, in which the moral sense seems almost non-existent, would tend to place it on a plane more or less intermediate between man and brute. These facts are all the more striking when compared with the noble, serious attitude of the Egyptian captors. This impressive contrast demonstrates sufficiently that the ancient populations on the banks of the Nile was as far removed from the species of Southern Africans as from that of Asian peoples. It refutes the theories which until now had tried to establish a purely Negro origin for it. Now, we were just reading the words of Cherubini, so we know this is about to get rebutted. Thank you so much for being here and reading with us. Here we go. Page 59 in the middle. Cheikh Anta Diop's words now. Disregarding Cherubini's pejorative epithets, let us try to see how the prisoners he describes differ ethnically from the Egyptian. His account does not contain a single scientific term likely to attract our attention. On the contrary, the excessive nature of the insults that form the greater part of this description, written by a representative of a people whose sense of proportion is reputed to be a national virtue, indicates the irritation of a person unable to establish what he would like to prove. He goes so far as to forget the objective order followed on the Biban el Muluk bas relief on which he dwells at length. In reality, if the black race is on the lowest rung of the human ladder, even so it stands ahead of Gabanu's blonde beast on that bas relief in an order consistently observed on all the monuments on which rung then would the ladder be placed. We reproduced here the drawing that Cherubini is discussing. How would one recognize on the faces any evidence of moral degradation? How do these features differ from those of the Egyptian? Cherubini himself tells us that the complexion is sometimes dark brown. In other words, the same reddish brown hue of the Egyptians on the monuments. Clearly, the one valid ethnic trait he cites is common to both races. The color of these Abu Simbel prisoners refutes the claim that the Egyptians did not encounter Negroes until the 18th dynasty and depicted them in a color different from their own. This claim stems from the imagination, not from documentary evidence. Are not these bodies basically athletic rather than frail? The facial contortions and contractions of the person in the forefront, the disdainful resignation of those in back, suggest a high conception of dignity rather than moral degradation to the viewer strong enough to interpret them objectively. And here we go. Here, this is 29, figure 29, which we have. Thank you so much for being here and reading with us. Hi, it's Heart Love. All right. Figure 29 says, the prisoners of Abu Simbel. The color of those in the background shows that, contrary to general assertions, the Egyptians did not paint themselves any differently from other Negroes. There are scenes at Abu Simbel in which no difference can be detected between the pharaoh and the other Negroes, whereas in the same scene where he is holding a group of prisoners by the hair, there can be no comparison between the pharaoh's color and that of the members of the white race shown. So this is what he's talking about. 29, as you'll see, the captives are shaded in, even though they pretty much look the same. The uncaptives and catchers are not shaded in. See that? Hi, it's Heart Love. Thank you so much for reading with us. The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta, and edited by and translated by Mercer Cook. And then this 30 says, Aryan, Libyan, and Semitic captives, reproduced from Lenormand's book on Egypt. The two figures at the top, engraved on the temple of Medinet Abu, are white Aryan and a Libyan. Those below on the rocks of Sinai are Semitic. And it says, Captif de race blanche Aryan gravé sur les murs du temple de Medinet Abu, type libyen au peuple du Nord, les Atlantis du pasteur Jurgen Spartanet. It's at the top. Here we go. White captive, Libyan. See? All right. Thank you so much for being here and reading with us. Love and honor. All right. And this one says types de captifs sémites gravés sur les roches du Sinaï. So this is Semitics, captives. Thank you so much. Highest heart love. We're pushing towards 700 on this peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. So thank you so much for reading with us. All right. Page 62 at the top. It has also been insinuated that if Sustras and pharaohs in general fought the black populations of southern Ethiopia, it was because they did not belong to the same race. This is tantamount to saying that since Caesar undertook expeditions in Gaul, the Gauls and Romans did not belong to the same white race, or that if the Romans were white, the Gauls must have been yellow or black. The Negroes who lived in the African interior were at times very warlike and often raided Egyptian territory. Cf. Our section on the stela of Philae. Cestrus intervention, which the Abu Simbel bas relief commemorates, fits into the context of these repressions. Furthermore, this expedition occurred during the later period of the Egyptian Empire, 18th dynasty. Mhm. Thus, it was that Shem's son, this is the key part right here. I'm going to make sure we got you. Thus, it was that Shem's sons came to call their southern brothers wicked sons of Cush. But those most detested by the Egyptians were the Asian shepherds of all kinds, from the Semites to the Indo-Europeans. For these, no epithets were insulting enough. According to Manetho, they called them ignoble Asians. This is very key right here. From hike equals king in the sacred language, and sos equals shepherd in the popular tongue. Came the name cursed and pestiferous, pillagers, thieves. They also called the Scythians, Scyto plague, Cherubini, page 34. The bas reliefs left by the Egyptians and commemorating pharaonic expeditions against those mobile plagues from Asia portray personages whose ethnic contrast with the Egyptians is visible at first glance and without any possible doubt. To make the Semitic, Aryan, alien character of these enemies of Egypt more apparent, we have reproduced Asian and European captives engraved on the rocks at Sinai and at the temple of Medinet Habu. They contrast with the similarity of features observable between the Egyptians and the Abu Simbel prisoners. Despite his efforts, Cherubini clearly failed dismally to destroy the thesis, which until now had tried to establish the purely Negro origin of the Egyptians. By the incoherence and weakness of arguments, He deems overwhelmingly, he confirmed that Negro origin better than anyone. In Le Egyptus, a volume published around 1880, Marius Fontaine's attacks the same problem. We're flying. Thank you so much for the likes and subs. Awesome. Peace. Yes, we're in the month of May and we're giving it to highest heart love. We'll be here for a little bit, so hope you enjoy the book readings and hope the sound is clear. Highest heart love. Since the Egyptians always painted themselves red on their monuments, partisans of the southern origin had to point out a great number of interesting peculiarities likely to help solve the ethnographical problem. Near the upper Nile today, among the Fulod, whose skin is quite yellow, those whom contemporaries consider as belonging to a pure race are rather red. The Bisharin or Bisharin are exactly of the same brick red shade used on Egyptian monuments. To other ethnographers, these red men would probably be Ethiopians, modified by time and climate, or perhaps Negroes who have reached the halfway mark in the evolution from blackness to whiteness. It has been noted that in limestone areas, the Negro is less black than in granitic and plutonic regions. It has even been thought that the hue changed with the season. Thus, Nubians were former blacks, but only in skin color, while their osteology has remained absolutely negritic. The Negroes represented on pharaonic paintings, so clearly delineated by engravers and named Nahaso or Nahasiso in the hieroglyphics, are not related to the Ethiopians, the first people to come down into Egypt. Were the latter then attenuated Negroes, Nubians? Lepsus's canon gives the proportions of the perfect Egyptian body. It has short arms and is negroid or negration. From the anthropological point of view, the Egyptian comes after the Polynesians, the Samoyeds, Europeans, and is immediately followed by African Negroes and Tasmanians. Besides, there is a scientific tendency to find in Africa, after excluding foreign influences from the Mediterranean to the Cape, from the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean, nothing but Negroes or Negroids of various colors. The ancient Egyptians were Negroes, but Negroes to the last degree. Fontaine's view, which needs no comment, confirms once again the impossibility of escaping the reality of a Negro Egypt. However little one is willing to accept the facts, limiting himself to objective measurements, Lipsus reaches the formal, major conclusion that the perfect Egyptian is Negretian. In other words, his bone structure is negritic, and that is why anthropologists say little about the osteology of the Egyptian. And we'll pause right here, continue back this beautiful, beautiful first day of the week. Highest heart love. Woo! We're getting into it. See, in this falsification of history, modern falsification of history, chapter 3, it's very in depth. And so we have a lot to cover here. So this was reading number 8, and we will pick up in this chapter on page 64 when we reconvene with the African origin of civilization, myth, or reality. Thank you so much for the likes and subs. Thank you for reading with us. And highest heart, love, and honor. Peace, peace. Let's have a glass of love water. Love to all our friends and family. Love to all the new solar returns, right? That we have. Man, we just got through the new moon. And so I had a great meditation. Been in meditation a lot. Going to go out and do some work, right? Today. Relax. Get a great meditation in. Let's have a glass of love water in honor of our friends and family. I'm so grateful and thankful. All I have now and all that's coming to me. Some love water. All those that have elevated and we have lost. We're praying for their safe return as they journey through the sky. I love you. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. That's a beautiful glass. That's a love water. Yep. Keep shaking it up. Reading books live from the light here on YouTube. Thank you so much for the likes and subs. Pushing towards 700. Ooh, we are getting up there in book readings, right? We've done such an incredible job on this channel. I honor you. Thank you for sharing and continuing to watch these book readings. So, honor you. Peaceful place on YouTube. All right. Let's sing I love you to our friends and family and to ourselves. I. Love, 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 love you. I. Love, 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 love you. You. You know, because I love myself. Have a wonderful day. I will see you soon. Look at all this beautiful. Oh my goodness, we're manifesting everything we want. Because that's how it works. When you stay in harmony, right? You live righteous. You write down what you want. You focus on that. And you do your daily tasks. It just falls right in alignment. Everything you want. Everything you need. It's all here for us. I have to believe. I have to know. There's no one in the world more divine than you. That's right. We are divine, powerful beings. Sometimes we need guidance. That's what we pray and meditate for. That's what we listen to our elders for. But there is no one in the world more divine than you or me. That's right. We're the top of the food chain. Highest heart, love. Peace, peace.